right, folks, it's from the inside out with Ronnie on the spot. Chris Curtis and the Sandman. Credit where credit's due, always. So, man, today some strange things happened, man. I told you about the fight with my dogs. I showed you the where the bite marks go in and all that. They got me pretty good, and I'm good with it. I'm cool with it. You don't have them dogs unless you're willing to love them right. You know what I mean? They're big dogs, and dogs do what dogs do. And so you have them, you expect that you're going to get bit sometimes. You're going to get in the middle of it. So the dogo is, I mean, let's just face it. I don't know if you know about dogos, but they're crazy. Stone cold fucking crazy dogs. Now, I love her to death, but she's a crazy dog. And we saved her and rescued her because she was going to get put down in California for being crazy. And what happens with her is that she does what dogos do. Their eyes turn like a dark, they change shade. Her eyes just go opal. And she doesn't hear, feel, or anything else while she's in the middle of whatever it is she's going through, right? I thought I was going to lose my Cane Corso the other day. It didn't happen, and I'm glad because I love him too. He's cool. But so anyways, I have to keep her separate now from all the other dogs. We got four females coming, and I got the male, right, for the Cane Corsos. Cane, Cane, I think it's splitting fucking hairs. A lot of people say, oh, it's Cane Corso. Other people say it's Cane Corso. And the reason for that little discrepancy is CAIN in English language, it spells cane. But in Italy, those dogs, it's called Cane. So I guess Cane relates to cane, whatever like that. So, half dozen on one, six on the other, whatever you think, right? So but they're beautiful dogs and they're good dogs. The dogos are nutcases, so she was on death row once for her behavior, for acting like a dogo. She shouldn't be on. We rescued her, and I don't believe that she should be on death row. You can't take her nowhere. Just me and my wife is the only one she can be around and get along with. And there's a part of that I love, the fact that she would just straight annihilate anything that tried to get near me. And you can tell when you walk by the downstairs at my house, she is on it. Well, so is the Corso now too. You taught him right. But anyway, so she's going to be isolated. And I'm out there. So I'm building these kennels. I'm building her a big kennel. We went and bought a shed. We're going to put the shed up. That's going to be her doghouse with the shed and all of that. So she gets all of that. She likes to squirrel hunt. I let her out, and she, today run around and she's squirrel hunting and loving it and happy. As long as she can chase some squirrels around the backyard, she's happy. She got a strong prey drive. So she's going to be in there, and I'm putting this little kennel together. And fuck, man, it reminds me of, it's like I'm creating a shoe yard with all the little kennels that they do to put us in, right? And I'm thinking, fuck, man. I'm putting my dog in this fucking kennel, man. And I'm thinking, but what can I do? If I don't put her in the kennel, she's going to continue to kill stuff, right? The other dogs are going to try to kill her. She's going to try to kill them. Everything's going to try to kill everything. And I have to put her on walk alone, right? And I'm thinking, fuck, man. This is the same thing they had that I made CDCR and all these people do to me, man. I'd be in the fucking shoe and acting a fool, and they knew that, you know what, if they put us together, we're going to be like two dogs in a fight. We're always trying to kill each other. Did we really give them a choice but to put us in a fucking kennel? And then I wonder, what, some of these CEOs that were straight up good, they were good. They were solid. They didn't like what they were doing. Their job was just a stepping stone to something else. Bartos is one of them, man. I tell guys about that. That dude was on here for a reason, man. And he gave you a good perspective from their side. And here's another perspective. While I'm building that fucking cage, I'm thinking, man, now I'm getting a feeling of what must be going through that CEO's head when they're out there in the chair and they're talking to me like a reg and everything, right? And they're being respectful, and they're treating me like the man I am. And they must just be sitting there thinking, fuck, isn't there another way to deal with these dudes that, and here's the arithmetic, man. Here's the Rubik's Cube. I'm doing that for my dog, and I'm thinking, well, if I don't do it, she's going to kill them. They're going to kill her. So I have to do it. And I don't feel good doing it. But if I don't do it, then, and I can't give this dog to nobody. It would break her fucking heart and it would break mine straight up. That dog won't go nowhere. I won't put her down. I saved her from that. It's not her fault that this is the situation she's in. She was bred by a breeder that gave her to people, sold her to people that didn't do their homework about dogos. You know what I mean? So they didn't know how to do it. So here I am having to put my fucking dogo on walk alone status and give it yard time, right? I got to give it like an hour or two a day out in the big yard and then put it back in the small yard so I can let the other dogs out into the big yard that aren't trying to kill each other all the time. And only because she's just doing what dogos do, man. And none of it her fucking fault. But she's got to be locked down, you know? And that's what I'm doing to save her life. What is the difference between doing a fucking shoe program where every time they let you out of your fucking cell, you're butchering somebody and they're like, God damn, man, what can we do with these dudes but separate them and lock them down? No, we're not asking you. We're telling you this is where you are now. You're on walk alone status. You can sit in that cage, walk alone, beat yourself up for a while. You know, every time we let you out, you don't play nice with others. You try to kill them. They try to kill you. All that's going on. And then, because it all comes full circle to the fact that, you know what, I guess Gunner said some disrespectful things about a Mexican neighborhood, right? And the Mexican neighborhood stuff, it's not my business. It really isn't. But you know what? I got a lot of friends, man. And those friends are my fucking business. Okay. So he talked a little stuff about he disrespect. And here's the thing about them dudes that I told you I didn't like their whole stilo. And I don't, man. You got a beef with a person, get after that dude, man. That's just what you do. You get after that motherfucker. But these guys take it the extra mile. So they got a little beef with something somebody said, right? So instead of just addressing him, they're going to talk crazy about his neighborhood, right? And in this case, he wanted to talk some craziness about Maravilla. Okay. Now, I don't like that. I don't like that. Them talking shit about a whole neighborhood and all of that. Just like I didn't like them talking shit about the whole ride because they had a bad experience with one dude or something, or didn't like what one dude. But this, like I said, this is their stilo. I'm gonna tell you a story about because I know some dudes, man. And back in the day, and that means a lot coming from me. Back when LA County, the Prowlers had the black gloves they put on. When the Prowlers came, you might have been thrown down an elevator without the elevator. Okay. They were serious. All right. And this is way back in the day when you could still have a wet $40 cash dropped off, right? And then people would go in and they'd get their wet $40 cash dropped off and they'd take that $40 and they invest it in candy bars back when they used to cost 30 cents a piece. They get 3 of them fucking candy bars, 4 of them for $1, however the deal was, and they'd get those from the commissary, and then they'd turn around and sell them to people just coming in at $1 a piece. And they'd bail out of jail selling candy bars in LA County. That's the way LA County was. You could make your bail money inside the county jail selling candy bars. Okay. And that depended on who you were and how willing you were to fight for your shit. Because if you were a white guy, you better be willing to get down right from the rip and don't wait. Period. Don't wait because they're coming. You hit 9,500, which is the piranha tank. The minute they look at you funny, you just take off, and that's what you learn. So, and I rode through there a bunch of times. So I'm over in like I think it was 3,300, and it's been a while ago. I'm with 3,300, me and there's a bunch of us down the tier, Lloyd Butcher. There's a bunch of us down the way, and you better have a knife in LA County at that time. Even the cops were carrying knives in their boots. They'll show you, bam, they were ready. That was LA County was a vicious motherfucker back in the day, man. It was a piranha tank. And so anyways, what was happening was these white dudes were coming in and they'd get off the bus, they'd get a sign, they'd come in, they'd go into 33, and the cop would run them up in the day room with the trustee. Well, the trustee had already told a group of people, certain ethnic group, that these dudes were coming, these guys were coming on the bus and everything, and they'd run them into the day room waiting for their bunk. So they wouldn't even get to make it down the tier. They'd get jumped, robbed, and all of that right there in the day room. And we got wind of it. So what we did was we got our hands on these butter knives. We actually got our hands on 35 of these butter knives in there. Yeah, they were stolen from down in the police dining room and shit. And they got all the way up to us. And we put double edges on these butter knives. And we made pieces out of these fucking butter knives. Nice, thin, fucking vicious pieces. About 11 of us. The bus came, we knew what was happening. We knew this little small group of motherfuckers were going to run up in that day room to rob these couple of white dudes coming in. So we laid in the cut. We waited. When they ran in, when that group arrived, they put the white dudes in there and they ran in after them. We ran in after them and we got to work. And we made a bloodbath in that fucking area in there in that day room. And what happened was that when they began to run, and let me tell you, you got a bunch of people on you with double-edged butter knives, one on each hand, and they're getting all over you. You may want to try to get away from it, especially when you're just in there doing your thing because you got somebody outnumbered, a couple of dudes outnumbered, right? Now you're outnumbered and these guys are looking to kill you. So, but one of them thought it was one of us on his heels coming out of the day room and grabbed the door and slammed it on his partners. And it ended, but not good for them. And we made a bloodbath in this fucking day room. Anybody that was around back then can tell you how the segregation ended in the county, began in the county jail. And they came through right then. They slammed 33 down, 33, 38. It's right there in the 3,000 area. And they slammed it right then. Bam. They immediately segregated it. All right. So they segregated. They opened 4,700 up. What they did was on one side of 4,700, they put the Crips. On the other side, they put the whites and the Southern Mexicans. Next to them were the Bloods. And it was all on 47, on 4,000 row. They separated the whole thing. They would run chow for one, and eventually they start just feeding in the cells. And you would never really come in contact too much with each other, right? So it was all segregated at that point. And that's how 4,700 came into being. That's how that came in, and that's a fact. And that's why they created it when they created it. And then, and, things have evolved. The county jail switched over a lot and everything. During time, things changes, but that's what caused that change that night. And they did that shit in a heartbeat, right? And then after that, there was a sergeant, starts with a M, like Mason or something. It's been a while, man. But after that, any one of us that were part of that whole get down that night that came into his county jail, and he had his friends on point too, and it was all on the computer, immediately slam that one in high power. Slam him in high power, take him up right now. Bam, he take you over into the little phone booth fucking cell on the side. You'd wait, they come pick you up, cuff you up, take you around to high power. You'd go through, bam, and you'd be slammed over there where John and everybody else is. And that's how that went, right? And this was back in the day. But I'd go to court, and there was a guy back there with me back then, and his name, he was from Maravilla. His name was Bird. I believe it was Blackbird. Honestly, I keep thinking Bird, but Blackbird. And I heard later on that he had got killed by Wino or Cuate or somebody. I don't know, but however it happened, I heard that they accused them of it. I don't know what the thing was on who did what, but I know that Blackbird used to sit in the bus with me, right? Bam, and I'd sit there in the little phone booth cage in the bus, and he'd be right in front of me right there because he'd come out of high power too. And he'd talk to me, and he'd tell me that, yeah, who they had their beef with, and that they were fighting that war, and it was a heavy war, man. And a lot of respect for this dude, man. Just because somebody's on the enemy side, on somebody that's a lot of friends of mine and stuff, don't mean I don't respect him and all that. I respect that dude and that whole neighborhood right there. I respect him. And I respect a lot of Serenos, all the Sereno neighborhoods. I'm not going to disrespect the whole Mexican get down because one person stilo, I don't like this one Gunner and Dubs. No, that don't mean their neighborhood's bad. Fuck that. Hell no. Them SA neighborhoods in LA and Northern California and all that, those guys are forces to be reckoned with. Anybody tells you different is a fucking liar. And they don't know. And I've been around a long, long time. And Bird would tell me a lot of things, and he would tell me about it in San Quentin when everything was. And you might have seen it in some of the movies they try to portray it. Well, he would run it down to me and tell me, "Yeah, Ronnie, these guys came together, and then they went back to the hole and they vanished for a minute." He goes, "But man, homie, when they came out of the hole, they were back to recruiting. They came out strong, and we just didn't want to, we weren't in agreement with everything, and that set things off." And so he ran things down to me. It really wasn't my business, but this is my story and it's the truth. And I sit on the bus with this dude, and I really liked this dude, man. And he wasn't no fake, nothing. This was a serious dude. Take your fucking breath in a heartbeat. He was about the fucking business. Not like this yo-yo and clown boy next to him. He wasn't like them. And Blackbird was a good fucking solid dude, and he'd chew them fucking dudes up in a heartbeat and spit them out. And every dude I've ever met from that neighborhood has been a stand-up solid dude. And they have their wars with who they have their wars with. That's not my business or anything like that. But you know what? The ones that are my friends that I've known and everything, and I've always known them to be solid dudes, man. And I've always known the other side, right? To be there's solid dudes right there. They're dangerous. Goddamn right they are. And these two clowns that want to disrespect the whole neighborhood because they think that's going to get them likes. I don't think it's going to get you likes. It's going to get you just the opposite. It's going to get you dislikes. And the dislikes you're going to get from it, it ain't good. It ain't good. Don't go out. Don't that just show you how fucking they're fucking rookies, man. It's what they are. They're rookies. They don't understand the game at all, you know? And I have my reasons for not liking the dudes, and now this is just another one. The unprofessionalism of what they're fucking doing and saying and attacking that neighborhood right there, you know? Yeah, it's just stupid shit. But that was the story. That's how 47 and all of that came into play in LA County. That was the whole get down that night. That's how it happened. And you know, that's in the review mirror. A lot of people say, "Oh, you never did that," or this would have happened, or that would have happened. No, you got shit fucked up. Nothing happened because, and this was really the point of the whole story. Nothing happened because the minute all that happened and they seen what we had done to them dudes in there, and we made a mess of them, and they deserved it. When they seen that, they slammed that fucking floor down. They slammed that motherfucker down so hard. We're standing in the hallway with shotguns. You weren't doing nothing after that. Nobody was doing nothing. So a whole bunch of people may have wanted to get down like that, but them sheriffs weren't having it. That was their fucking jail as far as they were concerned. And the minute they locked that whole motherfucking floor down, they went over to 4700 and created what they called the gang module. And that's how it was broke down. And nobody, and back then you'd go to chow with them. Everybody feeds in their cell now, but back then you'd go to chow. And it was before they had that new building next door. I don't know what it's called, but this was after HOJJ and before the new one next door to it. This was that old county jail right there, that old treacherous motherfucker, man. And like I said, you got the prowlers with the black gloves. You see them coming down the hallway, they're putting their black gloves on. Somebody's gonna have a bad day. They may not see tomorrow. Okay. And you know, so these dudes getting on here saying that, man, fucking got life fucked up, dudes. I fucked up. You talk bad about a whole fucking neighborhood, talk shit about a whole neighborhood because you don't agree with one dude. That's just fucking crazy, man. That is rookie, you know? That's rookie shit. You address the individual. And did. I keep talking about the Mexican guy with the podcast in the car. It's Cali Legends. All right. Said I don't agree with everything he says all the time, but you know what? He calls balls and strikes the way he sees them, and that I respect. Same thing with Rascal. You know, it's like I'm saying, I can disagree with Rascal, right? I can say maybe he overlooked this or missed that based on this. Maybe he knew about it. Whatever the deal is, right? That don't mean I want to have a war with him on the YouTube Yarga. You know, I can disagree with his method about doing something or anything, right? I mean, be disagreeable. I can disagree without being disagreeable, right? And that's the get down. And you know what? Both them dudes right there present themselves in a pretty good fashion, man. And I respect that. They try to be right with what they're saying and conveying. I get that too. You know what I mean? They try to be right. So, I mean, Rascal called me a dumb. I'm actually a smart. But that's all right. I can take it, brother. You ain't a rat, so I'm all right with it. You know, you ain't stealing tennis shoes from the mentally ill, so I'm all right. I'm all right with being called a dumb. I've been called worse, believe it. Um, and I'm all right with it. You know, yeah. So just for you, Rascal, nothing was meant personal against you, brother. Uh, I listened to a couple of your get downs. I've even talked to you on the phone, so I didn't realize that it was you in the video that I was talking to on the phone, but neither here nor there. I like the conversation, you know, and I just thought maybe you missed the federal paperwork or something and hadn't seen it or let that slip by you. And I thought that was what Dubs was counting on. And it's been brought to my attention that you don't miss a lot. So that's just that. You know what I mean? I don't go after people just to go after them. I like the views. Oh yeah, by the way, hit like and subscribe. Ping bing, do all that right there because that generates the funds, it generates the help, it helps the kids stay out of prison. And that's what it's really all about. Um, so, anyways, it wasn't meant to be anything disrespectful, brother. I just thought maybe it was overlooked. I don't know why. I don't know if you have a deep relationship with them or what the deal is. You know what I mean? And that's possible and that's commendable. Like I said on the whole get down that people who stand up for somebody that they've known for a while, I respect that. All right. You want to lessen the blow or whatever. It doesn't matter. I mean, I respect that too. And back to the guy that I never could remember his podcast, right? Which was Cali Legends, man. I kept on thinking of that. Look, man, dude's soft spoken and okay, he got a little angry today. He's from a tip. It's a very serious tip that ain't my fucking business, really. But I mean, I got some friends that were from there from back in the day. Now, I'm sure him and his homies recognize the name right there, and I just felt I took it personal. That dude was offending that tip right there because, like I said, I had a couple good friends right there, um, and it's just wrong. It just points out the kind of cats these dudes are, man. And that's probably going to come back to haunt them someday, you know. And they talk all their shit. Oh yeah, this, that, and the other thing. I look forward to it. Yeah, sure you do. The difference between me and you is I'll look back on it. You know, you may not. Uh, I made it to the age that I made it to for a reason. Probably for the same reason I don't see you getting this far. I just don't see it. You're not built like that. So, anyways, yeah. So when I was doing that, and this all came into my thoughts when I was building a cage for my dog, man. That I have to put her in a cage to protect her from herself. These guys have to respond on camera behind a keyboard to protect them from themselves, basically. You know, um, and that's where it's at. And also that was the reality in LA County Jail of the whole fucking deal on how that 4700 gang module and all that came to be. Here's another point I wanted to make with the whole story. So I'd come in, I'd get busted, I'd hit that fucking processing center downstairs, and the minute I did, that sergeant or one of his cronies would see me and say, "Lock him up." And they'd take me right over to that phone booth cell, and I would wait, sometimes for a day, sometimes longer, eating bread sandwiches, fucked up sandwiches, for someone just to come get me and walk me right around a little spot, all shackled up and gaffled up to high power, where they'd slam me. And that's how I'd function around the jail after that slammed because we had took them butter knives and did bad things to bad people. And they didn't like that in their jail. And do you think for 1 minute when they did that to me that I could just say, well, no, 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 you're not going to put me in high power. It's a bad call. Oh, okay, Ron, we're not going to put you there. No, they were locking me up whether I liked it the fuck or not. Okay. And then Blackbird from Montavia would come in and the same thing. They'd say, nope, you take him right over there because that was a high power dude. They'd gaffle him up, cuff him up, boom, and he'd go straight to high power. And he did not have a choice. When the Department of Corrections and the county jails and all of that decide that they're going to make a spot for people, a certain group of people, they don't give them a choice. They don't make that spot so you can choose to go there or not. They take these dudes and they put them there, and then what are they going to do? The fuck are they going to do? And then what happens is anybody that doesn't like that group labels them fucked up. You see what I'm saying? You know, it's just like with the ride broke off the fight with the fellows that they did. Well, you know what? Anybody that liked this group and didn't like the ride, well, they start talking all this fucking pedo about the fucking ride, and they don't even know, but they don't like them, right? And they use that. They don't ask you, do you want to go to high power? Do you want to go over here? You're fucking going. Just like when you hit the feds, right? The feds are a little different because they'll give you an opportunity to sign a tough guy chrono, they call it, and go out and take your lickings, right? Um, And they will do that. But there's yards that dudes don't walk. Like right now, the Northerners, when I left the feds, the Northerners had McQuarrie and they were there with the Aztecas and they had USP Coleman 1. Usually the ride didn't walk with the Northerners on the yard, but you know what? I got to walk with a few of them, right? Um, Big Manny and Smiley were right there in Coleman with me, and they embraced me, and we were good, right? But in the feds, the ride had a whole different get down with the fellas, and that's just here there. That's just that. It is what it is, right? And I'm just bringing you to the Rider News Network. Somebody also got at me and said, "Hey, they knew Goose and Big Sandy. Did I know Goose and all that?" Yeah, I know Goose. They tried to give him a rock, and he told him, "Nah." He told Bobby Ray, "I'm good, homie. I don't want to trade 3 for 2." Right? And yeah, it's a solid dude. He's actually out of Big Bear. Yeah, I know Goose. And they talk about Boulder Head. Oh, tattoos on his head. Yeah, I know Boulder Head too. And Bobby Ray did make him, but it was at a time when Ziggy came down with Bobby, and Ziggy come out of ADX working for the feds. And those two had brought in a lot of dudes and made a lot of riders and stuff, and it got put on hold for a minute. A lot of dudes stepped back and said, "No, we're good." Even though they had earned that rock, they didn't like getting put on hold. Boulder got his at that time. And so did Grumpy and some other cats, you know what I mean? So where they went with that after that, I don't know. You know what I mean? Either they hung onto the rock or they didn't, or they got it or they didn't, or how the fellas looked at it with Bobby and whatnot. This was all their business. But yeah, so I do know Boulderhead as well. And whoever that was that hit me with that in the comment section, you were there. Because there's no way you knew these guys if you weren't there. My celly too, which was Richie Leverich right there. And I was gonna bring you the paperwork, right? So somebody said in the thing, "Who are you?" I'll tell you who I'm not. I'm not a guy with fucked up paperwork. How about that? Okay. Who I am. I'm this guy. And you know what? One of these times I'm bringing in the lockup order and show you. I'm one of the guys that when the trials were going on and they made the threat that for every conviction they got, they were going to cut a cop's head off in the federal system. So what happens when all the convictions or non-convictions, when the rulings were going to come down, the verdict was going to come down, they went out and got everybody they thought in the feds that would carry that out, and they preemptively slammed them down. Well, I was one of the ones that preemptively got slammed down every time. Okay. And that's who I am. All right. And I'm doing pretty good now too. Actually, I'm doing real good. Feeling real good about myself. Can you say that? You know who I'm talking to. How you feel about yourself, Holmes? You betrayed everybody that you profess to love. You called out neighborhoods that had no battle with you at all. You didn't like what one dude said, so you trashed his whole neighborhood. I still don't know how that's going to play out any of my business, but it ain't good. I know there's some solid dudes from that neighborhood. Matter of fact, I have never been through a Mexican neighborhood in LA, Southern California, Northern California that didn't have some down motherfuckers in it. And then you said that everybody that gets segregated from any other fucking get down is PC. So now you went after the Bulldogs that way. You went after every kind of way. Those dudes don't have a choice. They tell them dudes, this is where you're going. This is what's going on. They're slamming them. You're not going to say, if that was the case, then all them dudes in the Bay doing shoe programs would have just told them, no, we're not going to do them. It's a bad time. Now you caught me in a bad time, Sarge. I'm not going to do that shoe program right now. And they said, oh, okay, well, if you don't want to do it, that's cool. That's not how it works. You're going to go fucking do it. We'll see after, if there ever is an after. And they, CDCR's figured shit out. Man. They figured it out. People used to go on in the yard in groups. It caused a lot of motherfuckers to get their life took, get their wind took. So they said, okay, how about this walk alone thing? Right. So they started putting everybody in these single cages and all that stuff, right? And then go out and then so okay, so you know what you do? You sell people up. Once you get them sold up, throw a little bit of that medication in that fucking pistol, that wine, you get them drinking, get them drunk. They go out, you put that bag from the trash bag that you got, and made that fucking choke out, you put that around their neck, boom. Now the cellies are getting killed. So they're saying, okay, single cell. And there's a will, there's a way. And people apparently have the will to kill each other in them shoe programs. And today, putting my dog on walk alone, it just, I don't know, maybe it's PTSD. It brought back all them, flooded back all them feelings, all them times, all them things. And now I'm looking at it from the other perspective. Now I'm looking at it that now I told somebody, my stepson, we're walking away. I told, fuck, man, I feel like the CEO right now. I mean, I'm locking this dog up in this walk alone cage. I'm letting him out for yard time for an hour every day. Poor dog's on a shoe program. But if I don't do it, he's going to kill people. I can't have him killing people. Her, really. So to save her, to keep her from doing that, I got to do this. She's gave me no choice. And I got to think, oh, well, Ronnie, how much of a choice did you give them? Back in the day, I didn't give them no choice, man. I did what needed to be done. And you can say whatever you want to say about me being an old man. Thanks for that. That's a compliment. You recognize I made it this fucking far, this long. So it's good to be old. I hope you get there. And with that, I'll leave it at that. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk to you about flying a drone in Lancaster. And I know this is all bad. He's giving up game and woo, woo. Look, they knew that game when we crashed it into the fence. Okay. So save it. Tell it to your counselor. I don't want to fucking hear it. You guys have a good night, man.